Celeste, and this video is jewelry findings for beaders. In this video, I'm going to go over the different kinds of findings that are out there and that you may need for your beading project. There are 3 other videos in this series: Bead Types Demystified, Bead Finishes and Colors Demystified, and Bead Tools Demystified. I hope you enjoy this video and thank you for watching. There are lots of kinds of clasps out there. I have a few of them here, and I've got a couple other unfinished pieces I'm going to show you. This is a real common one. It's a toggle clasp. They're also, it's pretty easy to make your own toggle clasps if you know how to do peyote stitch. There are quite a few videos out there on doing them. Basically, you make a circle, and then you make a bar like this, or you can buy them. There are just all kinds of different designs of toggles. I think that's probably why they're so popular, because there's just such a variation in the styles of toggle clasps. This next one is a great choice for say a cuff bracelet. It's a slide clasp. If I can get it to slide, there we go. Comes apart like that, and then it just slides back together, and you would connect it to your rows of beads along the edge here. This is an S hook, and it just hooks like this. This is a really large one, but it's just an example. This is a lobster clasp. I'm sure you've seen lots of those around. And this is a spring clasp, also very common. You see this a lot in jewelry. There's a little spring there that goes back. This is a box or tab clasp. It has a little tab, which I have in my hand here, that goes in the end of it. I think they call them not just box clasps, but tab clasps, because they can be in all different shapes. This is one that I use quite a bit. This is a magnetic clasp. I like them because I have a tremor in my hands, and it's easy to get on and off. If you have someone that has trouble putting jewelry on, this is a great resource. Let me show you some others that are on finished pieces. I have 2 examples of button and loop closures. This one actually it's just a button, and this is a loop of beads, and it just fits over it. Makes a simple but very nice closure on a bracelet or a necklace. This next example is of a necklace. In this case, I've beveled a rivoli, and I've made a loop out of peyote. And the rivoli is actually the button part, and then that's the loop. This is another kind of clasp, a screw. Don't see these as much anymore, but they're very secure. Just screws in there, and not likely to come loose at all. Here's another example of on a finished piece. This is my own necklace, so I have a magnetic clasp on it. And then I have an example of an S hook. If I can get this out here for you. This is a piece of vintage jewelry from the 50s, and it has an S hook, and the hook just goes into the chain on the other side of the necklace. It makes it kind of adjustable. Let me show you one other type of clasp here. This is again for multi-strand bracelets or cuff bracelets or multi-strand necklaces. So you would hook each, depending on how many strands you had or how wide the bracelet or necklace was, you would bead put each of the strands or bead the ends along here, depending on how long it is, and then the same on the other side, and then you would attach a clasp. In this case, I've put a lobster clasp here, and then you'd probably put something on this side for it to hook into a jump ring of some sort. So this is also commonly used in cuff bracelets, or in some kind of wide piece or multi-strand piece where you need a good bit of width to hook the beading onto. These are earring findings. Let's take a closer look. A little closer in here, scoot over. This is for a post earring. So the beaded part would go on here. This is a lever back or lever earring. This opens and the earring would go on there. This is French wire, or also sometimes called a fishing hook earring finding, and this opens and the earring goes on there. And then here I have a couple examples of hoop earrings that just open by slightly different mechanisms. There are a couple other mechanisms too, but I'm sure you're familiar with what a hoop earring looks like. These lever back earrings are probably my favorite. They're much more secure than the fish hook kind. They just open in the back like this and go through the ear and then close back up. They're easy to use. They can be relatively inexpensive, and they look nice, and they hold the earring quite securely. This is a sample of head pins. They're usually used in making earrings. They come in all different colors: gold, silver, bronze, brass. They can be short, they can be long, they can be plain, such as this. They can have a little ball on the end. They can be quite decorative. The difference between an eye pin and a head pin is that a head pin has a solid end on it, and an eye pin has this open loop on the end. This is a jump ring, very commonly used in jewelry making. It opens like this, and it's used for connecting different pieces in the jewelry. You can also get solid ones like this. They come in every color and lots of different sizes. These are bails. Bails are used to attach a pendant of some kind to a necklace. Those are two different sorts. You can even make a bail yourself. Here's an example. I'll show you also how a bail works. This is a peyote stitch bail that's attached to this pendant, and then here is the rope that it's attached to, and the bail is basically a connector between the pendant and a chain or a rope of some kind. Here's an example of a jewelry component called a chandelier. It has a connector at the top and then multiple connectors at the bottom that can be used for attaching beads. This is also an example of filigree. And then up here I have some more examples of filigree. These are used as in jewelry making as just a component. These are spacer bars, which would go over the beading wire or beading thread and between components of a piece of jewelry. They're hollow, and so they're just strung on. Here's some different colors and sizes of bead caps. They have a hole in the middle, which is where you put the eye pin or string, the cord or whatever you're using through the bead. Let me show you. They fit on the bead kind of like that. Let me show you an example of a bead that has two bead caps on it, one on each end. There you go. That's a bead cap. Here are two different end cones. End cones are used at the end of a beading project, such as a necklace or bracelet, where you have you want to cover up where the beading ends, where the often used in strung jewelry projects. They're flared at one end and narrow at the other. Let me show you an example. Here's a bracelet that has a number of different strands. All those strands come together and those ends are covered up using one of these cones. This is a pin back, which is attached to the back of beading in order to create a pin. Here's an example. This happens to be a ceramic piece, but you can see how it's glued on. There are holes in the back of it, though, so that it can also be sewn on to a piece of beading. This is a bracelet or cuff bracelet blank. It's just a piece of metal that is a little bit malleable, and it's used either in bead embroidery or in making any kind of a woven bead bracelet, where you put the in bead embroidery the bead embroidery would be put on the front, and then the backing would be applied and it would be sewn. In regular beading, you would make a project that would fold over the cuff and then you would stitch it along the bottom. So it just helps to give a piece more stability and be a little more firm.